Hey folks, welcome back to SC Haulers, and today we are going into Star Citizen 4.4 Wave 1 PTU. And for haulers like us, this patch is very, very big. And initially I thought it was just interstellar cargo hauling missions and external freight elevators, but there is so much more. And we are going to get into this. There's a lot to get into, so this video in particular is just going to be about external freight elevators. That is how much has changed. So this is video one of probably at least 3. Now, disclaimer, this is PTU, so there is a chance that some of this does not make it into the live version whenever 4.4 goes to the PU. Just keep that in mind. Alright, so we are going to start at Levski Station on Delamar in Nix. So, if you're on, I call this the top side. It's an asteroid, it's circular, I don't know. I call this top side. If you're top side, there's a couple hangars over here, but there's also a couple of external pads. And there's 6 of them, and it looks like there's 2 medium-sized pads and 2 large-sized pads. So we are going to park right over here, and as we park, you will notice that just like in Stanton, how there are elevators where it looks like freight elevators on the pads, there are freight elevators here. So we do have external freight elevators on the pads at Levski. And unfortunately, this is not the case in Stanton. Now, I'd say that just because it's the pads. The pads do not have freight elevators in Stanton or Pyro, okay? So we might get that in the future. I doubt it for Pyro because if you remember, on the Pyro pads, the freight elevator itself is like collapsed in and has all this rubble and trash in it and stuff. And so what I want to say about these particular external elevators is that they are similar to the internal hangar elevators. And so if you're on a large pad, you will have a large freight elevator, which holds 886 SCU, medium and small. I haven't seen a small pad yet, but if there is a small pad, I would imagine it holds a small amount of SCU on that elevator. Medium holds medium amount of SCU. So I'm going to accept a mission and pull up this cargo, but there is a clip I want to show you from Salty Mike of a concern that he had, and a lot of people have, about these external freight elevators. So roll the clip.
There's a little platform that you go to, and it works like a freight elevator. It opens, it closes, but it's completely open. And anybody can just walk up there with a tractor beam and just rip your shit off. If you get off of the freight elevator terminal, it looks like anybody can just send it down. We have not learned our lessons at all.
And with that being said, a lot of people had concerns with this. Like, what is the point of external freight elevators if you just pull up your cargo and then someone's just camping there in the darkness and then sends your cargo down at the end of the day? So that's why I want to show you this, because this is very important to what Mike just said. So I accepted a cargo hauling mission. I'm going to pull up one SCU, which this is only a 2 SCU container. So I'm going to pull up this one container. Just drag and drop over there. We are bringing it up. Now you may be wondering, what does this one container have to do with what Salty Mike said? So what we're going to do next is abandon this mission. Now we're going to try to send this container back down. So you can see the container is there. 2 SCU of souvenirs. We go to the terminal, and the freight elevator is obstructed because it is contracted cargo. I can't send it down anymore because it no longer belongs to me. Now, that being said, this is only for the external freight elevators. If somebody were to come take this off of your pad, like just tractor beam it off of your pad, and then go to an internal freight elevator over here, they would be able to send it down their instanced hangar internal elevator. So that is still an issue. But when it comes to people just getting onto the freight manager and sending the cargo down, that is not a worry. Now, you may be wondering, this is cargo hauling missions. What happens with trade commodities? So I had my buddy Ice Dude come out, and he purchased one SCU of iron. And so he brought it up. We are going to send it down. And as you can see, the iron is considered stolen. And so my initial thought about this was, if it's considered stolen or a cargo commodity and you can't send it down here at Levski, I wonder if it has something to do with the Armistice zone. And so our next stop was Pyro. Okay, so I ended up bringing both containers with me, my own and Ice Dude's, which I don't know why I brought my own. It belongs to me. It doesn't make sense. But we get to the terminal and we can send it down just fine. So Pyro is free reigns. Like, if you get cargo and then head to Pyro with it, you could send it down on any external freight elevator. So my next stop I wanted to go to was Stanton, and I wanted to go to 2 locations in Stanton. One was just any generic place that could sell commodities that was an Armistice zone, and the other was a scrapyard. And seeing as we're in Pyro at the moment, we're going to hit the Stanton Gateway and head to ArcCorp and go to Sampson and Sons Breaker Yard or Salvage Yard, whatever it's called, and then head to ArcCorp Mining Area 45. So Ice Dude has identified which one is his because he's not able to pick up that box, and he's able to pick up this one, and he's not in the party. So we are going to take his box over to the elevator and try to send it down. We are at Sampson and Sons, and so my theory is, if there is no Armistice, you can send it down. And I hate these elevators being broken. Even in PTU, they're just broken. And there you have it. It sends it down. Also, if you didn't know this about these elevators, if you pull cargo off of them and put them like back on your ship, like just take them away, once that elevator closes, it will consume that cargo still. And there you have it. Now, I need to test that with it being actually on the cargo grid, but I think it'll still disappear. And there it is in the inventory. So next stop, ArcCorp Mining Area 45. Okay, so here we are. And you can see we're in Armistice zone with the all-seeing eye, and the wind is strong enough to actually knock you down. That is crazy. But part of me likes it. So we're going to try to send this down. And you can see, and my suspicions were correct. So you cannot send down stolen or cargo commodities down the freight elevator if you are in an Armistice zone. So if you are a pirate cargo hauler, then your only locations you can send this stuff is to the salvage yards, Grim Hex, your personal instanced hangars, or anywhere in Pyro. So another concern that Mike had was people being able to just go over and pick up cargo off of the freight elevator. And seeing as I was able to pull Ice's box off the elevator to put it in the Caterpillar, I would imagine that is still an issue. So just keep that in mind. Security will have to be a thing if you're using the external pads. So the last thing I want to talk about external freight elevators in this regards is your ship will get impounded eventually, or stored if you are sitting in front of these pads too long and you're not actively moving. We went back to Levski to get Ice's Caterpillar, and it was no longer there, but also I parked my Caterpillar in front of one of the pads or one of the elevators and went inside Levski, and it was gone when I came back. I don't know how long that timer is, but it was my first time in Levski. I was trying to do cargo hauling right away, so I was probably in Levski for like an hour. All right, so getting out of that specifically, there is more information you probably want to know about the external freight elevators. So if you find a pad that has an elevator, we already went over that, where it has small, medium, large SCU amounts in the elevators. These super large elevators at the cargo centers, they hold 2560 SCU. And if you're looking at this right now, like I'm loading up a container at the moment, but it's important to note that these containers are double stacked. There is a bug with these pads, unfortunately, and that is you can't put any cargo on them. So it seems like the smaller containers work more consistently, but the larger containers, it's like 8 SCU and above, have a very, very hard time attaching to the cargo grid. It's almost like they're not slotted correctly or something, but I'm not entirely sure. I just know that I've not been able to attach an 8 or 24 SCU container to these external freight elevators, cargo grids at all. And if you thought like me and you were like, well, you don't have to technically have them attached to the cargo grid to send them down, maybe it'll work. That's what I tried here. And technically, it does send the elevator down. But we run into the problem of no gravity, the animations don't work, and as soon as the doors hit that box, it just opens the doors right back up. So that is not an option, unfortunately. We're gonna have to load up all this cargo and go inside of Bajini Point. Last thing I want to talk about is locations of external freight elevators. Obviously, Nix has external freight elevators at Levski. Stanton does have external freight elevators on stations with cargo centers. So your primary LEOs, so Stanton, Pyro Gateway, Nix Gateway, Bajini, Tressler, Everest, and Seraphim. Grimhex does not have external freight elevators from what I could see. I could be wrong. I didn't look very hard, but I did a couple rotations around the asteroid, did not see them. And then you have the Stanton Lagrange points. Especially a big question in my community was, does the refinery Lagrange points have external freight elevators? I could not find them. However, my friend Shattered Orbit, and I don't think I gave him enough credit, but he's the one who did this original test, and then I followed it up with the trade commodity test too. And so Shattered found data that the Lagrange points will have external freight elevators. I don't know the extent of that data, but to my reclaimer pilots, these particular no gravity elevators won't work for you. You're going to have to wait until they implement the freight elevators on the landing pads. As for Pyro, you have freight elevators at your main hubs, so Checkmate, Obituary, and Ruin Station, and then you have 2 more at, I want to say it's Megumi Refueling and Gaslight. Those 2 places have cargo centers as well, and they have the external freight elevators attached to them. These secondary stations like Patch City does not have external freight elevators. It's also important to note that Stanton Gateway and Nix Gateway in Pyro do not have external freight elevators, which I thought was really weird because I thought the stations were pretty much just copy and pasted from the other ones, but whatever. I guess the UEE didn't want to put money into Pyro. So that's going to do it for me, and this is external freight elevators with Sacks of Wine, I guess. So if you thought this video was informational, you liked it, be sure to hit that like button. If you want more industrial content from Star Citizen, be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you can know whenever I post new industry content to my channel. So that being said, I am Sacks of Wine with SC Haulers, and we will see you at the next haul. Love you, bye.
Sacks of wine, space waking, hauling dreams. Sacks of wine, the galley